So welcome back to my channel, and some big news dropped. The Hollywood Reporter just put out an article, and they revealed who's gonna take over the creative sides of the DCEU. So I'm gonna read a few excerpts of the article, and then I'll just give you my take on it. And yeah, so James Gunn and Peter Safran to lead film, TV, and animation division. The duo will report to David Zaslav and assume the title of co-chairs and co-CEOs of DC Studios. So that's the first part. And then the second part is in a stunning turn of events, filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran have been tapped to lead DC's film, TV, and animation efforts as co-chairs and co-CEOs of DC Studios, a newly formed division at Warner Brothers that will replace DC Films. The unprecedented move, in which a top director will assume a top executive post, marks the end of a months-long search by Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav to replace DC Films boss Walter Hamada, who departed the studio last week. That search had all of Hollywood guessing and playing executive bingo for who would land one of the most coveted and challenging jobs in town. Gunn will focus on the creative side of things, while Safran will focus on the business and production side. Both are expected to continue to direct and produce projects, respectively. They report directly to Zaslav and work closely with Warner Brothers bosses DeLuca and Pamela Abdi. Sources say the deal runs 4 years, and Gunn will be exclusive to DC. The goal is for them not just to be producers, but to truly function as executives, even as Gunn will occasionally hone a movie. Unlike Marvel Studios, DC has multiple films set in separate creative universes, and according to sources, Joker filmmaker Todd Phillips is work on the upcoming sequel, which goes into production later this year, will not fall under Gunn and Safran's purview and instead be overseen by DeLuca and Abdi. Matt Reeves, who worked under Hamada, has a budding universe based on the Batman movie. It is unclear under whose purview Reeves's future projects would fall, but everything else moving forward would be under Gunn and Safran's. And this is the last part. The move comes at a seismic moment for the DC, which for the past 4 years has been led by Hamada under the DC Films banner. The executive departed amid friction with new Warner's leadership under Saslav, who made the controversial decision to axe HBO bound film Batgirl in August and has vowed to reshape DC with a 10-year plan as it seeks to compete with rival Marvel Studios. Even though Saslav talked about finding a Kevin Feige style executive, over the summer the team started looking at emulating the Pixar model, in which you have producers and filmmakers working as executives. That has never been tried in the live action space. So, big news, right? And so for me, it's both. There's both pros and cons. So let me start with the cons. So the cons is James Gunn is an active director, as far as we know, and even they said right. So he's still going to continue to direct. So how is that gonna? How involved is he really? Can he really be with shaping the new DC universe? Right. Obviously, they're going to come with the game plan, but with any game plan, you got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to improvise. You got to be able to change, right? Not everything's going to go according to plan. And so when something happens, is he going to be able to have time to, okay, be like, okay, we need to change this, right? Because if he's going to be working on scripts, on movies, and actually be on set, imagine, and they have to move quickly on something, how involved is he really going to be? So to me, that's like a big negative, a con. Obviously, Safran is there to produce, and he's there to make sure that the films get made, and so that's like his part, right? So with Gunn, he's gonna be the creative side, really. So maybe you don't necessarily need him for those decisions, but still, right? He's going to be part of it. And so that's like a to me that's still like a big thing. It's like how involved can he really be? Right? If he's still going to be an active director, writer, producer, right? Because he's going to do other things. He's not just going to do superhero movies. So that's like a con. And another thing that stands out to me, like they talked about uh, when the new CEO took over for the Warner Brothers Discovery, David Zaslav, they talked about the 10-year plan. They're going to do 10-year plan, right? And most likely that's probably going to start in 2024. We don't know yet. That part we don't know yet. And they're probably going to announce that later on when they do like a big, probably going to do like a big reveal and all that stuff, right? So an introduction. So it's a 10-year plan, but they're signed for 4 years. How is that going to work, right? So I mean, I guess they're giving themselves some type of leeway where if it just doesn't work out, they can kind of pivot and kind of adjust a little bit. So maybe that's why they wanted to do it for 4 years, but that seems kind of short too, because look how long movies tend to take to make. I mean, it could be as short as 2 years, but it can also be 3 years. It just really depends, right? So maybe what they'll have like they'll start the new Superman and maybe Superman 2, maybe. That's the crazy part, right? That's like the weird part to me is like if it's a 10-year plan, but they're only there for 4 years, and yeah, they can be resigned, but then it's just weird. What if it doesn't work out, right? Oh, that's gonna be weird for the next person that tries to come in and try to course correct again. So they're trying to course correct right now, and then what happens if it doesn't work in 4 years? The new team is gonna have to course correct what they did. So that's a really interesting part. Um, well, one of the pros for me is like James Gunn. He's a really smart guy. He's done some really good good films. But one of the big positives is he worked under Kevin Feige. So he's seen how it was done, right? He saw the how the sausage was made, if you will. And so he comes with that experience. So that I think is really going to help the DCEU and try to and he's kind of I'm sure he's talking to Safran and be like, "Hey, cuz they're producing partners, right? And they're probably going to talk like, "Hey, look, this is how Kevin Feige did it." And maybe these are some of the things that I think he could have done better, and let's try to incorporate this, right? And let's try to improve on that formula. So that I do see as a big positive because there's no other Kevin Feige, but he was there, right? He was there when and there were rumors, there was talks that Kevin Feige and Marvel they wanted James Gunn to be basically kind of the lead of the cosmic world for Marvel to take over that the creative side of that. So if they were already talking to him about that, so it makes sense to me why Warner Brothers would want to bring him in, right, to lead the DCEU for the creative side. So that does make sense. So like I said, there's pros and cons to this. Um, it's really interesting what's going to happen. I'm actually looking forward to it, but I do have my reservations because like I said, he's a working director. And to me, like that's the biggest thing. How much time is he really going to have to invest into this? So yeah, it's exciting news, but it's also we have to wait and see, right? We don't know. Just like we didn't know what Marvel was going to do. No one knew Kevin Feige, at least not the regular public. Now everyone knows him, but it was a wait and see with him, right? Was that strategy going to work? So is this strategy their new 10-year game plan, whatever that's going to be, is that going to work? So that's a wait and see, and I'm excited for it. I want to see it. So yeah, comment down below. What do you think of it? Are you excited? What are the pros and cons for you? And yeah, if you like this video, give it a like. And if you like the content of my channel, subscribe. That would really help, and it'll help me grow and help the channel grow. So thank you for watching, and have a good one.